Now, during the initiation stages of starting antiretroviral therapy, you're going to have potentially some complications that scare people. What's going to happen is they're going to have things like nightmares. They're going to notice they've got a very dry mouth. There are numerous symptoms that a person who's starting antiretroviral therapy is not necessarily guaranteed to have, but there's a strong possibility it's going to happen. They'll feel weak, they'll feel nauseous, they'll feel a range of different physical things. And the truth of the matter is none of those things last. You've got to be aware of the fact and keep in mind that your body is now taking on a drug that it has never been exposed to before. As a result of that, all drugs have a side effect. And the side effect of antiretrovirals can include things like believing that the ancestors are visiting you at 3 o'clock in the morning in your bedroom, or seeing a pink elephant flying around the living room. Once again, not necessarily happens to everybody, but it does happen. So what we need to do is we need to caution people when they first start their antiretroviral therapy. These are the things that you need to be aware of that could potentially happen to you. What happens is the person gets freaked out, they stop taking their medication, they're too scared to talk to their health provider, and as a result of it, they're not actually on antiretroviral therapy. And the dangers of that is that if you take a drug for a period of time, let's use antiretrovirals because that's what we're talking about. If I take antiretrovirals, let's say for a year, the virus has got to a point where it cannot outsmart the drug. However, I now am going to visit my auntie in the Eastern Cape and I'm going to be down there for the Christmas period. But I don't want anyone down there to know that I'm HIV positive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my antiretrovirals at home and I'll simply pick it up when I get back. Bad move, really bad move. And the reason for that is quite simple. Once you remove that level of drug in your body, that sustainable level that's going to keep the virus in control, what's going to happen is the amount of drug in your body is obviously going to go down because you're not taking your medication. As a result of that, HIV looks at this and goes, well, hang on a second, here's an opportunity for me to change part of what I look like. It's a process called transmogrification, the ability to change and adapt. It transmogrifies itself to a point where the next time you introduce that same drug, the antiretrovirals will not work because HIV has now changed itself, adapted, and become immune to that particular drug. Which means we now need to take you from level 1, let's say you're on atripla, the 1 pill a day, but because you've defaulted on your treatment protocols, what has happened now, your body has built up, or the virus has built up, an immunity against the atripla. So we've now got to move you to a different level of drug. During that process, when you've stopped taking your medication, your viral load will start to go up again, i.e. your risk of transmitting the virus is much higher and much greater during unprotected sex, and your CD4 cells will start to decline again. We need to be aware of the fact that adherence is one of the most important things, and you guys at All Life are really big on making sure that people adhere, so hats off to you. It's a great business model and it works. So keep chasing your patients, make sure that they do adhere, explain to them the risks involved of not adhering to their medication protocols. People think they can pop the pill today and then maybe I'll take another one in a couple of days' time. You follow the protocol. If you follow the protocol, you will have a zero or undetectable viral load after a short period of time. You will not be able to transmit the virus during a sexual act, assuming that no condom is being used, and you can have a long, normal, happy and healthy life. You can even have children, all right? That's one of the things that ARVs has really changed, is the fact that couples can now, whether one's positive and the other's negative, they can now go and they can safely have children together. So antiretrovirals have changed the game. The problem that we're finding now is that as a result of people not being compliant and not following the protocols of their ARV treatment, the virus is mutating itself to a point where it is becoming drug resistant. What does that mean? That means that if you are non-compliant taking your ARVs, you are creating a whole new family or generation of HIV that is becoming drug resistant. So you're passing along to your sexual partners your drug-resistant strain of HIV, which means that you can't go in at first-line therapy once you get diagnosed, for example, or you choose to go back onto antiretrovirals. If you're a person who is exposed to a drug-resistant strain of HIV, your options become less and less. So compliance and adherence is essential in order for us to be able to stop this new virus from developing that is drug-resistant. So keep on your clients, keep talking to them, encourage them to take their ARVs. Yes, the first 28 to 35 days are not particularly fun, but the reality of the situation is those symptoms will go away. You just need to trust the process. Once you get up to that certain drug level, all those symptoms will cease to exist. So please encourage your clients to stay on their medication just encourage them to stay on.